All right, so before we do example 2, I just want to do a warm-up just to get your brains kind of thinking in a certain mindset. If I have the square root of 2x squared plus 3, right? And I said, hey, I had the square root. What function do I need to make these two look the same? What would this circle have to be to make it look identical to this? It's not a trick question. It is very simple. Yeah, this would have to be 2x squared plus 3, right? If I had the absolute value of 3x minus 7, and I said, all right, I'm going to have the absolute value of a function. What function has to go in here to make it look exactly like this? 3x minus 7, okay? Make sense? Not so bad. So let's say I have 1 over 2. Actually, let's go 7 over 2x plus 3. Okay. And then I said, all right, I'm going to start with 7 here, but what would I have to put here? What function would have to go here to make it look completely identical? 2x plus 3. Everybody good with that? All right, so now let me take a look back up here. Let's suppose I called this function h of x. And then I went on to tell you h of x is actually a composite function. So it is actually f of g of x. And I want you to give me a function of f and a function of g of x so that when I do the composite, I get this. Okay? Well, f is like our outside function, right? And g of x is the function that we're putting in. So in this case, I'm going to show you for the first example here, if I have f of x, I'm going to tell you f of x is just root x. Good so far? All right, and then what does g of x need to be to get this function then? 2x squared plus 3. Do you see what I did there? Yeah? So your goal is to figure out what is the outside function. So in this case, f of x would just be the absolute value of x, and I'm like, oh, what does x need to be? Well, that inside needs to be 3x minus 7. Okay, so now let's go to our formal notes here. And that's what we're doing here. They're saying, let's find these two functions so that f composite g equals h. Okay, and in other words, they're just saying that h of x is f of g of x. So f is my outside function and g of x is the inside. So if I did this, what would be my f of x? Yeah. Yes. Totally. X to the 50th. Keep it simple. X to the 50th. And then what would we have to plug into that x to get this identical problem for h of x? X squared plus 1. Okay? And then over here, what is our f of x going to have to be? 1 over x. And then that makes g of x x plus 1. Now these are the most simple formats of breaking this down, but it is important to realize you could have infinitely many solutions here. And what I mean by that, I'm going to redo this one, and let's say I gave you f of x, and I said, oh, what if f of x is 1 over x minus 7? And I said, all right, you need to tell me what g of x is so that when I get h of x, it's still 1 over x plus 1, right? So the issue is here, into this function f of x, right, that's 1 over parentheses minus 7. What has to go into the parentheses to make it look like this? X plus 8. So g of x could be x plus 8. Do you see what I mean? So you can use any two functions, but the idea is we would plug into this function to purposely, right, we plug this in here to purposely get this. This is the easiest way to do it, where you just let let yourself have an x, and then you don't have to like add and subtract to figure out how to get that positive 1. Do you see what I mean? Right, so infinitely many answers. Easiest way is to try to figure out, like, this is like the reciprocal function 1 over x. Like, if you can find a parent function, that's going to be the easiest way to do it, because then you're just looking for one input and you're not solving to get it.